All right, joining us now, one of my favorite hockey shows is What Chaos. You can catch it on YouTube, part of the All City Network. Pete Blackburn, DJ Bean, every day, getting you the best, most entertaining hockey coverage, I believe. And Pete Blackburn joining us here on the show once again. Pete, always good to see you. I appreciate your time. Very excited, obviously, here. We got game 2 tonight, Panthers, Hurricanes. Give me your first, let's start with last night, all right, before we get to the Panthers, before we get to the Eastern Conference. The Oilers are up 3-1. I'm not scared of the Oilers, right? Even though the Panthers beat them last year, I see what the Oilers are doing since they were down against the Kings in the first round. I'm scared of the Oilers. They're up 3-1 last night. How did Dallas do what they did in the third period?
Well, I mean, they were gifted three power plays right to start the third period to get back in it. That obviously is a good start there, and I honestly felt like the Oilers dominated that game for 40 minutes, and then they gave it away with a horrific third period. And that's kind of like unsurprising for Edmonton, because if there are no hurdles in front of them, there's no adversity, they will create them to then go ahead and overcome adversity. That's something that they've been doing basically all year long. And, they're a resilient team, but you'd like to see it smooth sailing at some point. I guess you could count the 2 shutouts that closed out last round as their smooth sailing portion. But man, I think we're all expecting Edmonton and Dallas to be fun, and game 1 kind of set the table there.
Is Dallas the best atmosphere of the postseason?
Best atmosphere?
It looks like it. Like all these games I see, crowd looks unbelievable. The colors, everyone decked out in the green. They got the lights. It looks like the loudest building.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the loudest. Like, Edmonton's crazy loud. Carolina obviously has an unbelievable atmosphere. Honestly, all 4 of the teams left in it can bring it, and so all 4 of those atmospheres are great. And then obviously the deeper you get into these playoffs, the more pumped up fans are going to be, more hyped they're going to be. The stakes are higher. So yeah, I mean, atmosphere is pretty high across the board for the 4 remaining teams.
Isn't it crazy that you could say that, and you say it, with confidence, that all 4 remaining teams have great atmospheres, and of course that includes the Panthers, who, before this recent stretch where they made the postseason now 5 consecutive years, I mean, dead building. Like, yeah. I've been going to Panther games my entire life, all right, and they've been in that building specifically for a little more than 25 years, and just everyone would make fun of the Panthers building. No one goes. It's a dead building. The visiting team has more fans than the home fans. And it's like, it's a really great atmosphere now.
Yeah. I mean, they say if you build it, they will come. That's not necessarily true. You got to win. If you win, they will come. And Panthers have done some winning. And even when they were struggling, to fill that building a number of years ago, the response from me would always be like, well, what's the reason for people to go there? Especially like that building is pretty inconveniently placed for a lot of people in that area. So what's the reason to go out there and continuously pack the building? And I think that holds true for most teams across the league. Like, the Pittsburgh Penguins weren't filling their building. The Chicago Blackhawks weren't filling their building when those teams were bad. If the product stinks, people aren't going to go out of their way to catch it and pay money for it. One of the only buildings that I can like really think of that has impressed me with how packed, especially in a non-traditional market, is Columbus. Columbus was bad for a long, long time. And those fans just continuously bang it out regardless of what the product looks like in front of them.
What was your thoughts going into the Eastern Conference, and did your opinion change at all after just the one game?
Thoughts were that like this is going to be a war. It's going to be a grind because both these teams kind of play a similar style, which like they're always hunting. They're aggressive. They love to attack in all 3 zones, and so I was wondering what it was going to look like. I feel like the Panthers kind of have the edge in terms of big brother, little brother, just because they've won and gotten over that hump where Carolina hasn't. So game 1 was a little bit of dejection, I would say, from Carolina's end, because it felt like a squandered opportunity.
Yeah, like, did the Panthers play well in game 1?
No, I definitely not. I think we called it on our show yesterday. It said it was like a C game from the Panthers. And like Bobrovsky was great, but that was not the best that you're going to get from the Panthers in this series. And kind of saw it in the Toronto series where it's if they're slow and look vulnerable at the beginning of the series, take advantage of it, because they're going to get stronger as the series goes along, and then you might be screwed after that. So Carolina, especially for a team that has really, really ran into a wall in the conference final over the past number of years, you would have liked to see them take advantage of a weaker game from Florida and get out to a head start, and they didn't do that.
Is tonight must win for the Canes?
I'm not going to say it's must win, but it's bordering on must win. You do not want to give them to, especially at home, and then head back to Florida and have to dig your way out of that hole. The more as I'm talking now, like I'm talking myself into it being must win for Carolina. It's going to be really, really tough for them to come back from 2-0 against a Panthers team that has shown us that they're capable of getting stronger as series go along.
What did you make of the play late in the game? Gostisbehere, Brad Marchand. For me, obviously it's a play that you're not supposed to make where you're shooting the puck near a guy's head. It's clearly doing it on purpose. But what especially bothered me was, all right, if you're going to do that, don't you have to be prepared to drop the gloves and answer the bell if that's what Marchand wants in that spot?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like things getting nasty, the theater of it, especially during the playoffs in a 7-game series. But that was kind of Bush League and pretty cheap and kind of cowardly, I would say, just firing it at it and then throwing the hands up and not willing to get in the mix. Like that stuff kind of bothers me. And there's very, very few times over the course of my life watching Brad Marchand, even as a Bruins fan, where I've seen him get that pissed off. And, he's a guy who loves gamesmanship and loves to mix it up and is more than willing to do it. But I think that when you take a kind of a cheap route, the way that Gostisbehere did to answer for a play that he didn't like, I think it really ticked Marchand off, and you saw that.
Do you expect something to happen in that regard tonight? Because that really hasn't been the Panthers' MO the last couple postseasons, where they allow it to get in their head. Okay, we need to go after that guy because he did something dirty last game. They don't really do that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go out of their way to have that happen. I feel like with the Panthers, more often than not, it happens pretty naturally. Like they don't really hunt those extracurriculars, but if they have an opportunity in front of them to piss off an opponent, they'll take it more times than not. And as they should. Like that's the mind games and the mental games that you kind of play this time of year, and they do it better than anybody. So I'm really not worried about them being dragged into something that they shouldn't be dragged into.
So we've talked about this before. You're a big Boston Bruins fan. So I do have to tell you, I'm a little bit embarrassed, all right, because I've obviously hated Brad Marchand for the last several years, like really hate him. Now, I'm not quite on the level of that charlatan Mike Ryan, where once they make the trade, okay, it took me a few days to digest, all right. Mike Ryan still, he is not on board with Marchand. I don't get it. I'm on board with him. And what I'm embarrassed with here, Pete, is I'm embarrassed that I didn't realize how great a player he is, because it's essentially like I spent the last few years only acknowledging or only seeing all the dirty shit that he does and the really annoying stuff that he does. And it's like, it's just nonstop winning plays out there. And like, I'm embarrassed that I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He's one of those guys that you obviously hate if he's an opponent, but you love to have him on your team. And I think that's super true with him, because if he's on your team, you see the little things that he does night in and night out, and the difference that he makes, and kind of the energy that he brings. He's a great player, and I think that people have for the most part realized it for however long. And I think there's a certain point where it turned, and we asked him about this earlier this year. Like, do you feel like people still hate you as much as they used to when you were like a villain and doing dirty stuff? And he said that he doesn't think it's as intense as it used to be, whether that's because he's sort of matured and he doesn't do as much of the dirty crap or the unnecessary crap that he used to. But also, I think people have come around to realizing that he is a great player, and the longevity aspect of it all, I think people respect. And I kind of feel that way with Corey Perry in Edmonton as well, where I used to hate Corey Perry. I couldn't stand his face, even when they showed him on the close-ups on broadcast. I didn't like some of the cheap stuff that he did. I didn't I didn't like his whole vibe, but at some point you hit a point where you only can respect a guy for what he's been able to do to stick around, and just like the love and the passion that he has for the game and how he pours it into like a night in, night out basis. And so I think Marchand and Corey Perry are different players, but sort of similar in that regard.
How do you think most Bruins fans are experiencing this with Marchand right now? Like, obviously, Panthers Bruins a big rivalry these days, but like, are they enjoying the success that Marchand's having now?
I think it's pretty split. Like, I think some people really, really want to see him win and go on and get another cup. And I think a lot of others are just, it's very bittersweet, where like they want to root for him, but not in that sweater. Or some like don't want to see him get another cup because they just want like his success to be mainly confined to the Bruins. But I think at the end of the day, like no Bruins fans are truly going to be like upset if Marchand gets another one. I could be wrong about that, but at this point too, I think that the bitterness of it may have been quelled or washed down because he helped beat the Leafs. That's kind of how I feel, where it's, if he's going to go on and win, at least beat the Leafs, at least be their boogeyman and help the Bruins get a first round draft pick. So that part of it's been pretty sweet.
I'll let you go with this one, Pete. And I asked this the day after it happened, and I guess it was game 5. Yeah, game 5. Which felt better for Marchand? The overtime winner in game 3 against Toronto, or at the end of game 5 when he gets the misconduct and the Leafs fan is yelling at him and he's got the huge smile on his face? Which moment do you think felt better for him?
Oh, that's a good question. I'll say I think maybe game 5, if I know him well enough. I think game 5, getting under the skin of the Leafs, getting kicked out, getting taunted on the way out, his parents being in the building, getting to watch all of it. And I think like deep down, he probably knew that was the end of the series, because after game 5, I feel like we all felt it. And even if you had belief that the Leafs were going to win game 6, that only made it sweeter because you knew that it was only going to set the table for a game 7 collapse, because that's what they always do. The Leafs always lose in 7. They never lose in 6, and they give you one last glimmer of hope. So I think game 5 probably felt better for him.
Catch Pete and DJ on the All City Network, What Chaos, and of course, Monday through Friday, they have the YouTube channel as well. Pete, excellent job. Always good catching up with you. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.